Hello, 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 and welcome to some more Girl by Moonlight development where a webcam actually works. Boom. It's me in all of my white-shirted plainness today. And so today my kind of main goal centers around incorporating a bunch of the feedback / playtest notes that I've accumulated, and just kind of like cleaning a bunch of stuff up because there are some problems, such as like the name of this move needing to change, little details from like edge cases. Like this move actually is a perfect example, so let me just zoom in on it. So there are a couple problems with this move. Oops, Jesus. So we have this move down here. Rebirth. Your first and last rolls made while transcendent count as recovery rolls for you in addition to their other effects, which is great. However, its name gets weirdly confusing with Valkyrie Shrine being a thing that literally allows you to die and come back, which Rebirth doesn't do. So we want to change this name. And then also, the case that I ran into or that was talked about, I can't remember if this actually came up or not, but I think this came up in one of my Go Play Northwest playtests. The mission can end and you can have not used your second or your last Transcendence roll, and so you like lose a chunk of this. You might not have even rolled it a first time, and so I'm just going to add a clause here. The end of a mission, if you have unspent transcend. I'll just make it if you are still transcended at the end of a mission, just recover 2 is the idea. So if you are still transcended the end of a mission, mark 2 segments on the recovery clock. Right, because this is kind of like an average result for that extra roll that they would get. And so yeah, Red Troubadour, I'm trying to get a bunch of this stuff set up for you so that it's a little bit clearer and better. So I'm going to be dipping into the game rules as well. So actually I'm just going to set that up real quick in a new little tab here. So yeah, I'm also going to be going through my playtest document and reorganizing things, trying to make it a little more clear, doing some rules updates based on feedback, stuff like that. So for now, I'm in this position of needing to rename this move, or we just leave it with no name. Because it's just Transcendent Ability 3. I don't know, I can't necessarily think of like a cute media reference for it or anything like that, so it might just chill as being Transcendent Ability 3. Certainly we'll leave this for now. So I've got my handy dandy Girl by Moonlight notebook here, in which I have a variety of notes. So I'm going to be working through these. And some of these notes are like call out problems and don't have solutions. So, for example, and I'm gonna be bouncing around all over the place today because we're just flitting about from one thing to another. One thing I was considering adding was under name having some prompts like we do for the promises, and then possibly also adding some under look, but that they would be, if I were to do this, it would be very, very general. So in this case, right, it would be like, what word, the fusion. I mean, like, I can think of like an innocent name, and a plain name. Like, these would be the prompts for the unlikely hero, right? Stuff like that. So the idea is here is to just, like, push people towards a certain direction, and also to just to jar people's creativity is almost how I look at these, right? Of just being like, hey, give it a name like this. I don't know. I find that for me, there being a prompt often makes it easier for me to make a decision, even if my decision doesn't strictly have anything to do with the prompt, So in this case, for the fusion, I don't know what kind of names we could do, like matching names. Because this person needs 2 names, right? And let's just actually keep our typeset here. So we do matching names. And like a name with 2 meanings. All right, formatting things. These shouldn't have capitalization, I don't think. Is another thing I'm seeing here. Ooh, and there's something weird going on there where we have there was like a space before the first letter, and it contained formatting from the previous style. And so for these, right now they're black, but I actually think I want to make them, I want to make them the dark gray, present elsewhere. I just want to de-emphasize these ever so slightly. It's not super clear in here, but I think in print it will do a good job of doing this. Yeah, because right now they're solid black. Oh, I like romantic names. That's a good thought. And basically, I just want to condense these down to like two prompts per thing. Like I like the promises are just like, it's just these 2 things. I don't want to have this be this huge line of prompts. We're probably going to steer clear of doing any kind of prompts for looks. The other place I was thinking of doing this was, or I was thinking of doubling this up, so having like stylistic prompts in the playbooks, and then like literal name prompts in the series playbooks. Man, y'all are good at coming up with these like name prompts. I'm not necessarily going to use all of these for the future. I think I like Bamf's suggestion of romantic names. I think that's a really cute way to do this. Alright, and then I've got to do a little bit of formatting stuff here because there we go, now they're actually on the same line, right? It's really not clear what it's snapping to here, but yeah, that looks correct. Okay, and then does this look good? Not quite. It's actually off by 1 pixel. Boom. So we want it to actually sit on the line. It's on the line. It's at first and goal, as they say. All right. So cool. Matching names, romantic names. Right, and this can mean either that we pick names that evoke these things, or we decide that for our setting, those names are that. Which is how I have played it in Monster Hearts, because Monster Hearts has some similar stuff like this, where it has like actual names and then also like some categories. And I really enjoyed picking an actual name and then being like, and this is this kind of name. I found that to be quite fun. Because it just lets you expound a little bit about the setting. Let's organize these a little better. Okay, cool. So for time traveler, all right, we're gonna dupe this. Oh, and then here's the question. I wonder how. Yeah, so there's this little space on all of these things. It is everywhere. So we are going to have to eliminate that on each one of these. And then I'll have to clean up my template. I apologize if y'all are getting a lot of street noise. It's just like as soon as I start streaming, traffic picks up on my little, like, tiny side street that I live on that shouldn't ever have any traffic. Yeah, all this aligning of text stuff on a like per pixel basis. Right, there we go. I mean, I guess we're just getting rush hour traffic here on my tiny side street. I mean, I'm relatively close to a major street, so it kind of makes sense, but I reserve my right to be irritated by it. No, Red Troubadour, I really like a lot of your suggestions, so please keep them coming. Yeah, I like the idea of like famous names for someone. I don't know if it's necessary. I think the unlikely hero needs like a famous name and like an innocent name or something as the prompts. So just hold on, time traveler. I know you're good at waiting. We'll go over to the unlikely hero. We'll dial this in. Because yeah, I like the idea of this playbook being a character, you know, like you have this name that you need to live up to, right? So a famous name. I think we'll start with an innocent name and then do a famous name. I think those are both good. This exciting reformatting work. Yeah, this is Sithmaster. This is I was thinking for friends and frenemies, drawing from the like a list of actual names on the series playbook, in a similar way to like the Apocalypse World MC book having like, here are a bunch of NPC names. Just use these names. This is Apocalypse World, right? These are the NPCs. This is the cast of Apocalypse World. And then just tying those to series playbooks, so they're for everyone's use, both the MC and the players for their like friends and frenemies and stuff, right? That we just make that name list a little bit more communal, because I find that when I'm playing at the table, that's how it tends to go. That we all want to dip into that as a shared resource. So I'm just going to explicitly make it such for my game. All right, so for Time Traveler, I think an ominous okay. Well, first of all, we gotta drop the references to Madoka for the Time Traveler, right? So you gotta have a strange name, because that's like this critical little bit of dialogue from Madoka is how Homura has a strange name. But Madoka really likes it and is just like too perky and moe to ever let anything slow her down. Yeah, we could do like a strange name and then an assumed name. Right, because like a couple of y'all are mentioning this idea, right, of them having like a name, signifying it as a name that they have taken on that isn't like their real name. Yeah, I like an assumed name. Although maybe stuff like assumed names should be for the Enigma, right? Like, the Time Traveler isn't necessarily super mysterious. I mean, we can just do an anachronistic name, right? Like, it doesn't fit in terms of the time and place. Although it's kind of what strange could imply. These are the things I agonize over, right? Like, is a strange name and an anachronistic name too similar? I think an anachronistic name is actually perfect for like our strange name category, in as much as it's not a direct media reference, which I would want to have, but yeah, like I feel like they are very similar. And yeah, that it covers the whole range of like, you're from the past, you're from the future, etc. Right? Anachronistic name is great. Maybe an ominous name. Ominous name. Ominousness. Like, I love these moments where I just like look at words and I'm like, I don't know how to spell anymore. But yes, that is how you spell ominous. It's like I've even been reading a lot lately, which is kind of what I attributed this deficiency to, me just like not reading. And now it's just like seeing it in a certain context, I think, is what fucks me up. A forgotten name? Someone should have forgotten name. I don't know if I want to put it on this playbook, though. I'm going to come back to that, because we've got, like, the Enigma and the Stranger, who would be good candidates for something like that as well. Alright, I did the color reset on both of these. Yeah, those are both looking good. blue. That's what I'm looking for. So for our delightful enigma, right, we've got to have yeah, we were talking about doing an assumed name for the enigma, and then like right, and an assumed name we could also put as like a super normal name. You know, just as the like, yes, I am normal. I have a normal name. I am not a superhero like you guys. Wait, I don't know that. Because we want to have our name, you know, our name is like part of what reinforces the whole asymmetrical relationship that we have. And we're not doing any uppercase letters here. Right? Like an average name. Ooh, a forgettable name is a good one. In fact, I like forgettable over assumed. A forgettable name. Right, and that evokes some of the same cool stuff that the idea of like a forgotten name does. So I'm glad we got to kind of keep a bit of that around. And then, yeah, what other kind of stuff do we want to suggest here? Ooh, yeah, I like this idea that a bunch of people are coming up with, right? Like a name with a secret meaning, a puzzling name. Like a name that is a riddle is what I really want to put here, but I can't think of like a succinct way to say that, right? Like we could just do a puzzling name. Yeah, as Red Troubadour said, I think a puzzling name kind of strikes at that because I like the idea that the name is, you know, like a hint, right? All right, so we've got this little space we need to remove. We need to make everything lowercase for these prompts. And then we want to set our color to the gray for this section. All right, so we're just sweeping through these ones. Danger is my riddle name. God damn it, Staves. That is funny, and I resent you. Right, yeah, like a puzzling name could be like wordplay or like an anagram of your superhero name or all that kind of stuff. Like I think my hope is that this prompt encourages people to be playful in that way with their name, right? Or to make it like to get them to think about that kind of thing a little bit. And then a forgettable name is the ideal option for just like your name is a cover story, right? And so either one that you want to play into is fine. And so, okay, here's the other thing. Do I add a section next to name that's like our superhero name? Because my experience has shown me that this is like most of the groups I have gone in that direction of having like superhero names. And so what I could do is for all of these playbooks, I could just do one of these, right? Where we're like name, and then you're like transcendent identity. right? And we need to do mundane name versus, and yeah, I think it's like true name and mundane name is a good way to frame it. We're getting pretty dense in this section, but also I want to look at an actual physical copy of this sheet. See how I feel about some stuff. Because, like, I noticed this with John's sheet especially. Sorry if I'm bumping the microphone a bunch. I mean, I'm kind of sorry. I'm working here. Right, so like this is John's sheet from our playtest. Let me just get this. I don't know how clearly that'll come through for y'all, but like there's writing everywhere on it, right? Because there just is never enough room to put all the stuff you want. And he's flying in the face of this notes. Look at his notes section. His notes section isn't nearly as full as like this corner, where there's just like all of this shit. Jonathan, I'm actually using Photoshop, but it's just because it's kind of like it's what I have. InDesign would be the appropriate piece of software to use out of the Adobe suite for what I'm doing here, but right, and that the character has a name, and then they all had like other names, and because their origin is reincarnation of interstellar royalty, right? It pretty much insists that you have some kind of second name, and that many of these options would make sense for that, right? Like embodiments of the stars, which is what my playtest that we've been streaming chose, right? So they all have constellations that they're the embodiments of. If you're transported from the past, which is one of the other options in here, you would expect to then have like your name from back then and maybe a new name that you've assumed. Hidden Magical Kingdom implies a like different set of names as well. Yeah, like every prompt in this playbook, or in this series playbook, definitely speaks the idea of having multiple identities for your characters. So I think this is totally reasonable as a decision. It might mean, well, I mean, it absolutely does mean that we need to do a little bit of... See, here's what I don't understand. This one. There we go. Just going to have to extend this line so it matches up with the other ones. Actually, there's a far easier way to do this, which is to just delete all this crap. What do I want to do here? I think I'll just dupe this layer, delete everything that isn't this one line, and then move it up. And this wants to sit above. Perfect. Okay. So this might mean that I need to resize this. Oh, this is all in 12 point? Jeez, no, this should be in 10 point. Yeah, all of these should be in 10 point. Yeah, so that we have our mundane name and our like real name. Alright, so we gotta go back through and we gotta do a bunch of shit. So but we'll just stick here and make this thing be complete. So and then we can give prompts for our true names. So this is our like transcendent names for our characters. And in this case, it's going to be, what, like a mysterious name? A heroic name? Right, like, at least in my game, we're going to say, yeah, that your superhero self is your real self. Because of our whole like queer vibe, right? Like the name that regular society gives us is a complicated thing, and then this is like the one that we have either chosen for ourselves or that we have like that we are embodying. An inspiring name? Yeah, like a powerful name? I don't think anyone should have the prompt a heroic name. I think that's just trash as a prompt. Yeah, we could do like a powerful name. Or like an imperious name. Because the Enigma is kind of, you know, the Enigma is real fancy. Or like an opulent name. And I don't like mysterious because it's just kind of too obvious. Yeah, maybe instead of opulent, we can go with imperious. And like a dashing name, I think. I think this is what we want to invoke, or evoke rather. So we have a forgettable name and a puzzling name, and then our true name is a dashing name or an imperious name. Sick. So I'm not going to go through the whole rigmarole of setting up every single one of these with the final formatting. I'm just going to put these in. Right, and we also need to resize. Because now that it's set, I can do a lot of this formatting bullshit on my own time. I don't need to subject you guys to watching me go through it all. Um, so, for our time traveler and their their true name, what kind of stuff feels awesome? A name. So we already have. See, here's where we might want to make a split, right? Because we have an anachronistic name and an ominous name. I feel like we could maybe move ominous over and do a different plain name for them, different mundane name. And then have like an ominous name and something else. Kind of like the idea of like a clever name. Because like if you have knowledge from the future, you can be clever, right? Clever to me implies a certain like superior attitude around knowledge. So kind of like a clever name. And then yeah, that their like embodied persona would have this like ominous name is certainly appropriate. A name steeped in tradition, like a traditional name. Unhistoric name. I just find this whole thing of how in English this is correct, even though it breaks a lot of rules. I just think it's great. Unhistoric name. We're gonna leave it as such. You there. Change to 10 point. And then I will copy you. Actually, let's resize this. And so these are perfect as mundane names for the fusion. And then, right, their fused self, their transcendent self, is not going to have plural names. They're going to have one name. I mean, but Red Troubadour, come on, people say that all the time. They say unhistoric event. I feel like it's a very British way of doing it, but... So, for our fusion names, what do we want to go with here? What kind of prompts are interesting? So the fusion is like a leader, and the fusion is a, like very feelings-oriented playbook. Well, Red Troubadour, I'm going to leave it in there just to be annoying. Just to be a little smart aleck. It's staying. I'm sorry. But, yeah, this singular name for the fusion. We could do, like, a combined name. But beyond that, I'm a little bit uncertain. I mean, this almost feels like too much to have matching names and then a combined name. I like a symbolic name. Maybe we need to... I think combined name is a little too silly. Maybe these guys get a powerful name? Powerful name, a symbolic name. Yeah, I like that for the fusion. We could do a revelatory name for this, but I don't think so. An historic name. A dashing name, an imperious name, I think is great. It's super solid. All right. The Stranger. Let's get this set because we're going to be duplicating it a shitload. Oops. Actually, we probably just want to keep it in this line because this is going to turn to mundane name. It's going to expand out anyways. So it's going to have to move over. Everyone's getting into a pseudo debate around prescriptivism in language in chat. It's all my fault. I'm so sorry. Right, and so here we're doing names for the stranger now. And so for the stranger, you know, we're thinking of like, who's a good example of a stranger? You could kind of play a lot of characters as a stranger, depending on how deep you wanted to take it, but like, I think for their true name, we should definitely have an alien name. Yeah, a Forsaken name. Where's the little... All right. Yeah, I like the idea of like a name that isn't a name normally. Like, so let's see. What are the strangers that I've had so far, and what can some actual play inspire me with? So, in the playbook I did at Go Play, or the playtest I did at Go Play with John, Andy, and Violet, aka Distracted Elf, everyone had like bird names and animal names. That was like the societal norm. So the characters were Sparrow, Hawk, and Wren. Sparrow was the Enigma, and their other self was the Rapier Wit, who was like a Zorro-esque figure. And then Hawk was the outsider, and she was like an enemy turned friend kind of character. And she was Silver Knight Orixian of the First Order, and she served Empress Thousand Sun of the or no, it was Ten Sun of the Dynasty of the Thousand Suns. And then there was the stranger, whose name was Wren, who was the scribe of the library of the Endless Horizon of the Dynasty of the Thousand Suns. And so, there's a stranger that we had. The other playtest I did at GoPlay actually also had a stranger who was like the embodiment of a mountain, of like a specific mountain. And so I think her name was the mountain's name. Let me see if I can find her. Yeah, here we go. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Outsider, stranger. No, she just had a... She just had a regular name. Well then. Yeah, I kind of like a confusing name, as Banff is suggesting. And then a designated name? A designation? Something like that. I kind of like a confusing name as one of their... Which implies, all manner of confusion, like it's like confusing in terms of gender, or it's like the name of an object instead of the name of a person. A contradictory name. Like a machine name, a product name, a model name. I kind of like a model name because it has weird, weird connotations and like malleable connotation, because it could be like, I have a model name for the society, like I am the, like poster child. Or it can be like a model name, like you're a robot and you're this model, right? Like, yeah, so I like that. A confusing name, a model name, an alien name for your true name, and the other option we could do... I don't know who's going to have a lugubrious name cross saves, but maybe someone will. Um, so here we have an alien name, and I mean another option we could do is just like a cold name. I'm gonna go through some of the really obvious ones, right? Like a dissociated name, an impersonal name, as Hihos suggests. I think for Outsider and Guardian is where I would want to see stuff like you're suggesting now, Bamf, of like a holy name or something like that. Could definitely work. Or like a sacred name. Um, a terrifying name. A dreadful name. Like I want to say like a terrible name, but like terrible not in the sense of bad, but in the sense of like, you know, great and terrible as the sea. So maybe it needs to be like imposing or intimidating. An unfathomable name. These are all really nice, evocative suggestions. I just don't know if they quite hit the mark for me. I kind of want to do an intimidating name. Unfathomable is really cool. We have Alien already, which is kind of very similar to these ideas of like an unfathomable or whatever name, an arcane name, you know, like intimidating. I think really belongs in the Outsider though. Like they should straight up have like a villainous name as um, one of their true names. I kind of like unnerving, an unnerving name. Like it's just like it's like an off-putting name, right? Like you get the bad vibes from it. Um, Unlikely hero, an innocent name, a famous name. Great, that's all well and good. Um, those are perfectly reasonable mundane names for this character. Yeah, the Outsider is definitely going to have one that's just literally a villainous name, and I think that's going to be super sick. Um, but for our unlikely hero, um, okay, well, there's one thing I have to change, which is that it has to go from innocent to naive. Maybe this character can get a sacred name. Maybe this should be the famous name one as well, right? That like, right? Because like if we look at like Steven Universe, like his name is Steven. He has a very naive name, and then he's actually Rose Quartz, right? So I think here a famous name or like a renowned name is what needs to go in there, and then this famous name needs to go away. Also, this is not unnaive name, it is just a naive name. And then we have Like a fiery name would be good for the guardian or the outsider. A pretty name? I think I want to go with a pretty name. Staves, to what are you referring? Oh, that. Whoops. Whoops. A renowned name. What is the origin of the word renowned? Isn't it based off of known? I think the reason I wanted to do that is because it shares the same root as knowledge, right? Like, does anyone know where the word comes from, renowned? What the etymology of it is? I mean, I'm not trying to, like, obfuscate the fact that I'm trash at spelling, because there's no hiding from that truth. The inimicable truth of the matter. Alright, let's get this set up while I wait for people to correct my trashiness and educate me. Doing this on all the wrong sections here. You need to be corrected in this one. Renomer, to make famous. Oh, so it comes from name, not known, knowledge. Yeah, to be named. Cool. Well, then that's a perfect word, and I had a misunderstanding about its root. Okay, so here we want to have, like, a fiery name and, like, an arrogant name are the ones that jump to mind for me with this particular playbook. Like, I'm definitely down with an arrogant name. I think an arrogant name is key. And then, yes, villainous name is absolutely something we want over here. Right, and if I look at my notes here for our outsider, like our outsider from the playtest that I was referring to where everyone was like bird names and stuff. So Hawk was Silver Knight Eryxian, which was basically a villainous name. The Silver Knight Eryxian's past self was evil. Like in the course of our play, there was a flashback to them like fighting this duel in order to enslave this like group of aliens so that the like decadent interstellar royalty people could like possess, like take over their bodies and use them as playthings, which was what they were all about. So yeah, we could do a rebellious name. I think is a very reasonable suggestion here. Rebellious, villainous. I think I can go more evocative than fiery. Wow, y'all went deep on this whole linguistics thing. All right, so we're back to this name. Like we can do like an angry name. That's a little heavy-handed. Or like a wild name. Kind of like a wild name. Because, you know, wild, rebellious, arrogant, villainous. Those pair together nicely. And yeah, angry is like very confining. Wild might be as well. I don't know. I'm gonna stick with these. They seem reasonable. I feel like I've screwed up my line here. Right, and the Guardian. So just as a reminder to myself, I already used sacred name, right? Yeah. I didn't resize it. Need to do that. Okay, so names for the Guardian. We can do something like a fierce name. A solid name. Like a parental name? Or like an old-fashioned name? Kind of like the idea of an old-fashioned name for the Guardian. Or like a traditional name, actually, would be the best way to do this. Traditional name. Which does the job of solid, I think, right? I like a resolute name a lot. I think that's really good. And then for their true selves, they will have some names. Yeah, I was thinking like protective. I did parental. And I think it could apply here. Like, I really want to say like a matronly name, but I mean, I guess I could just put a matronly name in there and that would be fine. It's kind of a weird word. But like, I definitely imagine the guardian as being the like, it's having the like squad mom vibes. A martyr's name. A senpai's name. A senpai name. So thus far we have what we have traditional and resolute, and then we have a martyr's name. I don't know about martyr though as a word. Like, it really has a lot of religious connotations. In that it is a religious word. So, do I necessarily want to use it? A fighting name. I'm kind of tempted to just put a fighting name. Yeah, right? Like this, I feel like if I use the word martyr after already including a bunch of the other language I'm including, it just feels very, very like Christian, which is not where I want to go with the game. I mean, it's fine. You can be Christian. I'm not trying to judge you, but just, it's not for this game. It doesn't fit. Yeah, these sounds are it's like so core. A storied name could be good. Does that overlap with what we have chosen here, right? A sacred name or renowned name? I feel like renowned and storied kind of same thing. But we also already have historic as a name. So like storied, historic, and renowned is too much on that same theme. Oh, so instead of a fighting name, I should have a warrior name. A warrior name is a great way to phrase that. Ooh, I like iconic, actually. Yeah. Good call, drummer boy. An iconic name. A warrior name and iconic name. Yeah. I think those are pretty sick. Okay. Cool. So we got through the naming thing. So let's see here. What are some other notes that I can act on? Oh yeah, another thing I was thinking of adding was playbook specific role tags. As kind of like additional qualifiers. In which case I would go choose one from the series playbook and one from your role, or from your character playbook, and combine them to form your role. Yeah, role like ROLE, like in here for role and background. Right, like adding some prompts in here to make it so that instead of picking 2 from this section, right? Because right now it's each player choose 1 or 2. It would be like, cool, pick one of these and then pick one from your sheet and combine them, and that's your role. But I like these being centered around the series playbook. Like, I would not want to de-emphasize it too much and make it too playbook specific, because I like the flexibility of any playbook can kind of be any role in the story. And I think that flexibility is nice. Oh, right. I'm missing a prompt in here. I wanted to add something into either like the agenda / origin of the darkness or our own origin. In fact, it's got to be in our origin. So we have Hidden Magical Kingdom, which can double down for Ancient Kingdom. I think that was a lot of redundancy. And I think we want to have an option for doing the Gem War from Steven Universe. I realized I didn't actually say it out loud. I was just like talking around it. I want to have one of these options for our origin be like, we are the Crystal Gems. We're like a team of rebels. So yeah, maybe just rebels. And we need to qualify it a little further, right? But I mean, it's a rebellion. Because we've got rebels and usurpers as the origin for them. A rival kingdom, intertwining timelines, rebels and usurpers, royal family members, pillars of the earth, magical gatekeepers, deposed / exiled royalty, interstellar invaders, or travelers from a dark future. I think we can cut rebels and usurpers here, because I feel like really this like deposed exiled royalty one kind of covers that vibe. We have invaders, travelers from a dark future. And we have rival kingdom as well, which rebels and usurpers. Usurpers certainly makes sense in that way. How do I want to phrase this whole, like, gem war vibe? Because really, it's not even... Like, we could phrase it as a rebellion, or we could refer to it as, like, a civil war. Yeah, well, I think maybe we'll just do organized rebellion. And I love that these prompts include the option for it's either like the darkness are essentially rebelling, right? Because you could do the avenge some ancient wrong as its agenda and have it be like a rival kingdom or, deposed exiled royalty, etc. And then it's basically like they are rebelling against you guys who are the established order because you're a reincarnation of interstellar royalty. Or it can go the other way around. You can be the rebels. Yeah. And then, yeah, like having it be like everyone's rebelling and the whole kingdom is just embroiled in civil war, I think is super rad. As a notion that there's this like interstellar kingdom or stellar kingdom or whatever that has this civil war that's happening. Yeah, it's just rebels all the way down. Okay, so I want to add a section of names. And we've got all this space over here to work with. Well, I want to just double check the blades sheets for how much space John gives names, which is a lot. Like, the list of names we can see here, excuse me, is like a really big portion of our overall page real estate. And I think it's such a useful thing to have. Right, names, looks, city descriptors, right? Most of this is around how to color the setting and the characters within it. And that's all really nice to have as the GM, as the MC. Banff, I find it easiest to just have like everything in one big notes bundle. So that would be ideal for me, is to just have it be like everything all at once rather than in little bits and pieces. Just for the sake of me being able to keep everything organized. Yeah, so it's like a fifth of the page. Whereas for us, we got a lot more stuff we're trying to jam into this thing because it is also our equivalent to the crew sheet. But having like a little column of names over here, I think is very reasonable. Blah, 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 blah. And in that case, what do we want to do for names, right? Because the Blade's setting is really prescribed, right? Whereas ours is really, really open-ended. So I can give like a couple different categories, and I like just stealing ideas from some of the playtests I've done so far. So having one where it's like names of constellations, having another one where it's like birds and animal names, like we did in that one playtest. So here are all of the names of characters from the playtest I did with John, Andy, and Elf. The characters, the PCs are Wren, Hawk, and Sparrow. There was Empress Tensun of the Dynasty of 1,000 Suns. There was Scribe of the Library of the Endless blah 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 blah. There was Silver Knight Orixian, the Rapier Wit, and then Minnow, Squid, Eel, Fawn, Ox, and Screw. Those were our NPCs. So yeah, like Troubadour, as you're pointing out, right? Like the setting for Blades is an integral part of the mechanics. And I think I went on some rant about this previously on one of these development streams, but like it is so core to the game because of all the like hacking stuff around using Tinkerer, and all the way that like all of the magic works and all of the factions and everything. Like the setting and the mechanics are inextricable. You cannot separate the two, in my opinion. Or if you do, you need to then build as much as John did in making Duskfall and in making Udwasha. It's just too core to the setting, and so therefore, yeah, they're like, it's easy for him to come up with a list of names and have that be again integral to the game. And similarly, I think the name list in Apocalypse World is pretty integral to the game, and does a lot to reinforce the game's structures. Because it has all of these like dissociated from their context names, which is like so critical to this idea of an apocalypse, right? So for us, I want to stick to, so our equivalent thing is these prompts, right? Like this is our setting, our situation, everything, like it all lives in here. And we need to stay in line with the kinds of stuff that this evokes. And so to my mind, what works here is, like names of stars and constellations, names of planets, names of, like we can just have names of gems, right? Rocks, like fucking Sailor Moon and Steven Universe both do that with like Zoisite, Malachite, etc. Queen Beryl. So evoking that kind of stuff keeps us consistent. I really liked the animal name thing that we did in that one playtest with, like hawk, wren, sparrow, minnow, squid, eel, fawn, jadeite, zoisite, hecatite, malachite, whatever, stuff like that is all good. And so I think that's a good starting point, and then I probably need like one other factor to include. But Aquila, Libra, Corvus, Ursa, Polaris, Topaz, Malachite, Peridot, Emerald, Caspian. Sure, just like names of stars, names of constellations, names of astrological signs like Scorpio. What are some, Taurus, Aquarius, Gemini, of course. Irregular igneous crystal formation. Yeah, no, that's not good enough. Virgo, Capricorn. They're all out of sequence. This is probably really upsetting to someone. I don't want to put Cancer in here. Yo, I already got Polaris, homie. It's right here. Just for you.
Sorry about that. I took the wrong bus. I don't normally take the bus.
Beryl, obviously, has to sneak its way in there. And these can all be the, like, magical names for things. Sirius, I can put in there. Betelgeuse, I'm not going to put in there. Andromeda is excellent as a name for someone. What was the game where it's like one of the Sid Meier's Civilization games and it's set on another planet? I can't remember the name of it. Oh, well, like Polaris the game. Yes. I mean, I'm just going to get a list of constellations rather than just try to remember them all off the top of my head. Right? Orion, Cygnus. We'll have all the names of the planets as well. Lyra is a good one. Draco is a good one. Canis, Hydra. There's one called Booties, but we're not using that one. Vulpecula. God, some of these are ridiculous. Auriga is an excellent name. Sagitta. Leo. Karina. There's one that's Pupus. Crux is a great name. Cetus. Pegasus was way too good. You gotta have Pegasus. Oh, I lost my spot. Links. And then I gotta just shout out my playtest group here by doing Wren, Hawk, Sparrow, Squid, Eel, Fawn, Minnow, Ox. Lumina, Castor, Mimosa. Mimosa's a drink, guys. Like Osprey. This is a good little chunk of like, you know, sangria, daiquiri, Cosmo. That's a different series playbook where everyone's named after drinks, okay? And then if we want to do like mundane names, right, we can just pull like Serena, Ray. God, what are all their names? Can't remember. Can't fucking remember. God, there are way too many characters in Sailor Moon. Okay, I just want the name of all the Sailor Scouts. That's all I want. Here we go. It's only 106 of those. Yeah, I suppose I should spell Ray this way, shouldn't I? Yeah, like I can't remember any of these freaking names. And then it's confusing, like it's confused in my memory because, I mean, one, you think of them by their superhero name, like Sailor, whatever, but then also the translated name versus their original names. Um, I'm just doing a little bit of quick research here. Don't mind me. Yeah, so Sailor Jupiter was Makoto. Sailor Mercury was Amy. There's Hotaru. There is Haruka. Minako. Yeah, I'm showing my failure as a Setsuna. Good enough. It'll do. I mean, yeah, Sakura is like a classic. Right, so we've got those names. We could have like Steven, Connie. God, what's Steven's dad's name again? They just always call him Dad. But then he does have a name. Why can't I remember his name? I feel terrible. Oh, it's Greg. That's right. It's fucking Greg. And I mean, I gotta throw in Garnet, Diamond, Pearl, Amethyst. Alright, we gotta shout out all these characters. Gigan, Mecha Ghidorah, Mothula, so anyways, this list can continue on, but then we'll have some name prompts. Yeah, right in. But anyways. Yeah, I think this is great. Names. So these are like fancy names, mundane names. So this is what? Monsters and heroes. And we actually want to take Wren, Hawk, Sparrow, Squid, Eel, Fawn, Miller. Maybe we'll leave them in there. Maybe I don't even think I want to distinguish. We're just going to make a giant list of names. And people can pull from them as they will. Oh, yeah, we could throw in some Persona names, too. Chie, Naoto. Kanji is absolutely a magical girl. There's exactly one character from Persona 5 that we leave out. Well, actually two, the main character, and one other whose name we will not speak. Yukiko. Is there anyone I'm missing from Persona? Oh, we're not putting Teddy in here either. He's not allowed. So Homura, Mami, etc. are all going to live in a different playbook because there is one just for them, and it's this one. But you know, we'll get to that. Yeah, like it's I'm just gonna call you Duckerny. It's definitely the vibe, but just for a different series playbook, because this is the very this one's too upbeat to use any character from Madoka in it, basically. So, what else do I need to update from my notes here? Just reviewing my notes, looking for if there's anything I missed. Some of this stuff I've already done. I need to actually like check off a bunch of these. Because yeah, I did this. I did this. I already made that change. Did this. And I did this one. So I don't have a name for this ability down here. We'll just give it a real basic one just so it has something. Okay, so I'm happy with where that's at. I've got to go through and do reformatting for everything. I just want to do a quick look at all my abilities and make sure they're all good. Yeah, I think we're good. I don't think I have any major revisions to make to any one of these. This ability just doesn't quite feel like enough. Because this one is basically all about, like, or connects very closely to mundane stuff. Because it's around the preservation of your secret identity, right? This also feels really redundant with what I currently have the special armor for. So I kind of want to change this one, the secret armor as well, to eliminate any overlap. So what makes sense to do for special armor for the Enigma? The Enigma kind of occupies similar space to the Spider. What does the Spider's special armor do? To protect a teammate. That's what it says. That's already been taken by the Guardian, basically. It's always nice to kind of touch back to these every now and then, especially for the special armor stuff. Yeah, consequence from detection or security measures actually almost feels good. Yeah, because just like, this is too personal and too individualistic, so... What is the wording on John's move here? Consequence from detection or security measures. So a consequence from detection, I think, is good. You can spend your special armor against any consequence, or you have special armor against any consequence from detection or blah. What's the other thing? Because for the Enigma, they're kind of all about like setting other people up, right? Because we have working from the shadows and prepared. So I'd like to have the second clause of this kind of reinforce that idea. It's almost like and then this one of like to mysteriously appear in a situation at the perfect moment to help a friend kind of weirdly interacts with this one where we can disappear. Okay, we're gonna restructure this one super hard. Okay, so for the big reveal, the moment you transcend, you may choose to immediately disappear. You may reappear so I go from 10 to 11 here. That's funny. This should all be size 10. Boom. Let's just normalize that to start. The moment you transcend, you would choose to immediately disappear. You may reappear at any time in the place of your choosing. When you surprise your enemies, you gain potency on any follow-up action. And may reappear at any time in the place of your choosing. There we go. So that covers... Right, because either way, that's a once a mission thing. So I'm down to then change how this one works. And then, yeah, Sith Master is on the same wavelength as me here, right? Because what I really want is to have, then you can spend your special armor to either disappear or become the center of attention. Now then, here's the other thing we have to consider when going into this move, is that we have the Stranger to think of as well. And the Stranger has... Where is it? Oblivious. You have special armor against all emotional trauma. You may spend your special armor to be completely overlooked for a brief time. So we don't want to step on her toes. So here we can say you can spend your special armor to be somewhere else. I think we'll just say you can spend your special armor to immediately become the center of attention. Really, we want to say the focus of everyone's attention. And then we need a little bit more here. So you have special armor against any consequence from detection. Against any consequence that would cause you to be detected or overlooked. Right, so if the MC's like, yeah, you try to like cause a big scene, but no one notices you, you can be like, nope, got my special armor, no problem. Or if it's like you're sneaking along and someone spots you, you can be like, no problem, got my special armor. And then if at any point you're just like, you know what, fuck this, I want everyone to pay attention to me, you just spend it, you get that. And I think that's pretty core to the playbook. So I think that works out nicely. And you could even loop that in, like, when you become the center of attention, that could be you surprising everyone, and you could give yourself potency. There's arguments for that depending on this fiction. And then we, of course, can always push ourselves to deliver a monologue without anyone interrupting. Another very important thing. And so now we need to look at phantoms still. Because we changed all that other shit so that we could come back to this. So, let me just remind myself of what the old fucking version was. Because I always do this kind of thing where I lose track of my... It's funny seeing different people's handwriting, I must say. Alright, so previously it was you have special armor against any consequence that would reveal your secrets. You can spend special armor to mysteriously appear in a situation at the perfect moment to help a friend. Which, you know, I like, but meh. Well, I have an example of your handwriting here, Sith Master, because you were in the playtest that Kelso ran, and I have all the sheets from that. Right? That was you? Okay, so... I mean, we could change the use of armor here to be, like, special protection against consequence. And we could have this be like a protection use. But I just don't know how worthwhile that is. Right? And so what we wanted to steal from this other thing was this notion of like keeping secrets and... And what I actually think I want to do here is expand on this notion. To make it a little bit broader. Because I really like this idea of like, yeah, you're better at sneaking around when you're not your like cool other persona. And so it's like gain +1 die when your mundane identity provides you a useful cover for your actions. Or would help you escape notice. Gain +1 die when your mundane identity conceals your true purpose or would help you escape notice. And then this one is actually, this one is Phantom, and this one here is Shrouded in Secrets. Yeah, I like the idea of keeping it a little bit broader. We'll see if it's too broad. We might need to qualify it a little bit more. So yeah, we'll see how that rolls out. And I feel like, and this is true of Blades as well, I feel like a lot of these are like clear like first session candidates versus clear like pick them up later candidates, and I think that's fine. I think that exists in Blades and is not detrimental to the game, and I think that definitely exists in my game as well. That like some stuff is kind of more eminently useful, and then others are like cool to haves, and that you might pick up some of those like more niche ones for specific character ideas, but that there should kind of be like some clear front runners, right? So yeah, I'm cool with that. And also, like, I'm sure a lot of that is just my perspective, right? Of like, I look at this and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the thing to do. Yeah, across Davis, you get your corpse incinerated. That's the magical way, the non-magical way to be incorporeal. Is you just get your body vaporized into nothing. Then you don't have corporal form anymore. I really like Oblivious quite a lot. Things Feel has been really popular, and I think is a very cool move. It's almost like too cool, honestly. It's like it seems to be so compelling that it kind of outclasses a lot of the other moves. And then, yeah, like these the first two are totally strong and helpful, but all have to do with downtime, which is not as glamorous as a lot of the other stuff. Sithmaster, what are you referring to with your comment? Or your question, rather? Is that for things feel? Oh, right. I did have one thing. It was you can engage with non-human things as if they were people. Is that the word I want to use? I think empathize with non-human things as if they were people is fine. I mean, this part I don't feel bad about at all. I don't think it's like especially powerful. It's just interesting. Um, I mean, I think it's just like I don't want to change this move because it doesn't feel like it's too strong. I think it's just like really fun and compelling as a thing. That's the edit I need to make. It's not you can. It's just you empathize with non-human things as if they were people. Yeah, and I like the idea of this being a little bit more open than just one specific action. It's not empathize with a capital E. Or do I want to narrow it and have it be you empathize with non-human things as if they were people? I'll go back to having this. I can. I think maybe that's actually what I want to do. Cold reading isn't the term around reading objects. Cold reading is where you. It's like a group of. It's a set of techniques where you trick people into thinking you're psychic, like you're talking to the ghost of their dead uncle or whatever. And it essentially involves being like super vague initially and getting and like prompting people to feed you information and then like provides a tool set for extrapolating that information into other stuff. All right, so I'm just doing a quick move audit. I feel like this one needs a little extra. Let's move 2. I was thinking of giving them like bonus dice for actions that involve people they have social links with, but then not really like act against other PCs or at other PCs in a Blades game. See Assist Master, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for all the input. That's super helpful. Yeah, I mean, I want to add just like a little bit extra to this. I mean, this is very closely equivalent if we look at Blades. Where's the slide? Right, you can just, this is entirely equivalent to just you can always tell when someone's lying to you, except that people lie to you all the time in Blades, whereas I don't know if you like always need to know what other people are feeling. I mean, this applies to NPCs as well as PCs, but so maybe it's good enough. We could give this like +1 die when gathering info about people. Right, like, I mean, yeah, like what I like agree with what y'all are saying that like people are kind of like lying to themselves, and that this lets you get around that, and in that way, it's really useful. So like, yeah, I totally feel that. Um, yeah, like maybe something about where you get like an extra die when you're using this information, like feeding it back to them. But that's almost too like proactive of a thing to give this playbook, you know? Where it's like they shouldn't be some kind of like master social engineering kind of character. Hmm. Yeah, I think I'll leave it for now. I'm thinking about it. It seems good. I haven't had a playtest that I have run that has included the unlikely hero. And so I have a lot of trouble kind of evaluating where the playbook is at. So let's move on to the outsider. Yeah, these all seem totally fine. And thus far in play, I haven't had any reason to feel like I need to change any of those. Do we make this more clearly a Madoka reference by being like, you don't have to feel it? Right, they've got like the bodyguard move. They've got this incredibly sick move about being able to recover themselves and other people simultaneously, which is ultra strong. Their special armor and stuff is good. It's essentially like help without needing to be there to help. Although it kind of overlaps with what social links do, so I might end up changing that one. Although the one way it's different is that this circumvents help. So this is just an extra die. So you could help them and spend your special armor to give them an additional die on top of that. Which I think is still worthwhile. Because you can kind of like all in on a particular roll. Yeah, okay, so I think that audit is fine. Which means it's time to get into the most boring part, which is time in a like pure text editor now. Hooray. Let's go to 150 zoom. So this is my playtest document. Yep, these are all good. All right, so episode is obligation, downtime, mission, fallout. I think I need to go through here and just like make some of my language a little bit more consistent. So, social links are primarily acquired through the social link action and downtime. Players can spend social links to activate their turn. Oh, see, yeah, here, this has changed. Boom. This is not true. Social links. Yeah, here's something we missed. So, links are associated with the other PCs and divided into separate pools accordingly when spending links for additional effects. Players spend a link with a specific PC and roll dice equal to their remaining links with that PC. Anytime a link is spent, describe how your relationship with that character is giving you strength here in the moment. Players can expend links. This is now like the one thing that they're for, which I think is totally fine. The following effects: recover stress. All links are lost at all unspent links. So all unspent links are lost at the end of a mission. When spending links when spending links, players spend a link with a specific PC and roll dice equal to the remaining links with that PC. At any time a link is spent, describing a relation. Boom. This is more accurate now to how the game actually works. We can recover stress. I think the full power version is what I want to use, having playtested it a bit. Yeah. Those are all good. Investigating the darkness. The investigation track acts as a threshold mechanic for the various mission types the crew can undertake. Each 5 seconds serves a tier. As the crew investigates and reaches higher tiers, they gain insight in the darkness and how best to fight. This gives the crew +1 die on engagement rolls against missions in tiers that they have filled. Similarly, they are at -1 die on engagement per tier below a mission they are attempting. Right, and that investigation progress decays. Promises. Each player writes a promise for each prompt on their character sheet. Their promises must relate to one of the other PCs. Playing towards the promise. These promises must each relate to one of the other PCs. You cannot... So each promise relates to a specific PC. Pick a different PC for each. Playing towards the promises one of the characters XP at the end of the session. Cool. I think I made that more clear. So who gets the link is in the social link downtime action. This is just about how to spend them and what they do. And the sequencing of all of these sections is a task for another day. For now, I just want to get them all actually accurate. Because, yeah, I feel like the way that they're organized right now is not ideal. Staves, the minimum number of players in this game is 4. An MC and then 3 protagonists. So, yeah, I don't see the game working with only 2 people in the series. I think it needs at least 3 player characters and an MC. And in as much as you could run Blades with only 2 people, I feel like it doesn't work great in that kind of style either. I feel like you really need a triangle. And that anything less than that is limiting. So, the crew has a track to show the darkness's constant hunt for those who stand against it. When this track fills, the darkness has found the crew and carries out an attack against them. Play this out as a strike at the heart of darkness mission, but the crew automatically fails the engagement roll. It is the worst possible situation. The crew are caught off guard and unprepared. After every mission, the darkness continues to close in on the crew. Regardless of the mission's outcome, the track advances by 1 segment, plus 1 more for each of the following criteria. Darkness's agenda moved forward. Someone fell the darkness. NPCs or PCs. The crew came closer to its destiny. If this fills the track, skip entanglements for this mission. Skip Fallout and entanglements for this mission. Your crew can also risk the track advancing in order to gain additional downtime actions. A crew member takes 1 additional downtime action, then roll dice equal to the current threshold of the darkest track. On a 6, the clock does not advance. On a 4 to 5, the clock will advance 1 segment. On a 1 to 3, the track advances 2 segments. Track can also advance as a consequence during play, between missions, or as part of a dark bargain at the MC's discretion. Which is actually something I need to like give people heat more often when I'm running the game. Yeah, because so to go back to this whole like ideal players thing, right? Like each character is going to have 2 promises, so they need at least 2 objects for their promise, which means a triangle is the bare minimum. So 3 or 4 PCs is ideal. Anything more, and I think you're going to struggle to give everyone screen time and have it all work nicely. Anything less, and I feel like the game just isn't going to be interesting, and so I haven't designed it with anything less in mind. Like it just can't function with less than three PCs and an MC. And a mission procedure. Evaluate the darkness and hunt tracks. See above. All eligible PCs erase all stress from their sheet and reset their transcendent tracks. Unspent links and reset their transcendence tracks. We'll just put erase all unspent links and reset their transcendence tracks. Roll Fallout, play the consequences thereof. Fallout. After a mission, the crew rolls for entanglements. So I'm sure we'll just call this Fallout. Roll dice equal to the current investigation tier and consult the chart. The MC chooses an entanglement type and describes a Fallout consult the chart. The MC describes its consequences. The MC describes the consequences of the fallout to the players. This might, in some any actions to address the consequences of fallout can be undertaken in the downtime, in the subsequent downtime. All right, and then here's our little chart. Great. Transcendence. In order to transcend against the various threats the characters face, they will need to transcend. Each PC can activate their transcendence once per mission. Describe your character's transformation. What do they look like as their true self? Once active, they receive all the associated bonuses and mechanics from the crew book and their playbook. While transcended, the PCs gain access to their armor uses, transcendent special abilities, the 3rd and 4th dots for action ratings, and gain increased effect level to bring them up to the level of supernatural threats in the world. While transcended, the characters can perform superhuman or magical feats that might otherwise be impossible. Each PC has a transcendence track in their playbook. Every action roll made while transcended advances the PC's transcendence track by 1. Once the track is full, the player drops out of transcendence and cannot re-enter it for the remainder of the mission. The track resets when the crew completes a mission. So yeah, Cyberite in Blades you can like reduce heat and stuff like that. In Girl by Moonlight, you're basically in a race with it, and the way that you can ultimately reduce it is by striking at the Heart of Darkness. So when you run one of those missions, you actually reset that track, which I should put that in here. Track will reset when the PCs complete a strike at the Heart of Darkness. Complete a tier 3 mission. There. So now that's clear. Thank you for asking that question, because that is a critical piece of information. Cool. So we're here in Transcendence. Does this have everything? I think it does. Yeah, like we needed the information needed to be somewhere. That was one of those things that was just like in my head, but not explicitly in the rules, and that's exactly why I'm going through all this stuff, is to try to catch all these little gaps. Because I'm trying to make sure that when folks are playtesting, they have everything that they need. Which has not been the case thus far. So, I feel like Transcendence covers everything we need to. Specifically, it's got this bit here. There's actually one section I want to add. So notably, while not transcended, the characters do not have the necessary effect level to match supernatural threats in the world. The MC will evaluate position and effect accordingly in those circumstances. Yeah, this is like a very important point of emphasis, right? Like, and I'm going to do a little bit of use of italics here. You do not. Actually, this should just be bold. Using bold because I'm a terrible writer, but I want to provide emphasis anyways. That's the secret. So now, Eclipse. When you reach your stress maximum, you are in Eclipse. While in Eclipse, you do not roll resistances as normal. Anytime you take stress or harm while in Eclipse, roll your lowest resistance. If the result is a 6, you hold on at the edge of darkness. On a 4 or 5 result, another member of the crew can push themselves to keep you from succumbing to darkness. If not, treat it as a fail. Treat it as a 1 to 3. On a 1 to 3, you just succumb to darkness. If crit is rolled, erase one spent segment of your Transcendence track, roll a resistance of your choice, recover stress equal to the result of the roll, and if Moe was rolled, each other player recovers stress equal to half of your roll rounded down. If Tsundere was rolled, each other player recovers based on your roll. Each other player advances their recovery clock based on your roll. If coup d'arrêt was rolled, each other player refreshes their armor and special armor. Sick. In darkness, while you are in darkness, play into your darkness prompt. Instead of accumulating stress, you erase it from your sheet. When your stress reaches 0, your character succumbs completely to darkness. You can choose to either have your character die, disappear. This is a list. I don't need to put slashes in it. Die, disappear, retire from action, or they can become a champion of the darkness. The MC pulling their strings. Make a new character. They join the crew after the crew mission ends. While in darkness, you do not clear stress or your transcendence track at the end of the mission. You still roll obligation as normal. When you escape the darkness, if you are in downtime or free play, erase any remaining stress and clear your transcendence clock. If you escape the darkness while on a mission, set your stress to 6. Does it say explicitly whether or not you roll over stress after failing? So, Claire, can you be a little more clear with that question? Because I don't quite follow. I assume it has to do with Eclipse. Oh, I see. Like, take more stress. So, say, just to make sure that I'm answering the correct question, or to, like, extrapolate, because I get to use my spoken words and not try to type everything. So we're talking about a situation where, say, I have 2 stress left. I take 5 stress, so I go up to my maximum, and then there's, like, 3, like, extra stress. Do I roll? So it's when you reach your stress maximum, you are in Eclipse. Is how I have it worded right now. And so if I were to read this strictly as it's written, it would say that, yeah, you fill up and you don't roll yet. And then any, like, the next thing that happens, you roll. But how I have been playing it is that when you hit Eclipse, you roll. I'm not sure which I prefer. And, like, I have been playing my own game wrong, according to my rules. So, I don't know for sure what to say is my answer for that. Yeah, like, I don't know which is better. And yeah, like, you're... You should be confused, because I was being confusing. I'm not sure which I want to go with. I feel like I kind of want to go with how I've been playing it. Or maybe what I need to do is say, if you hit it exactly, you don't roll. If you go over at all, you roll. Let's do it like that. If you reach Eclipse, if you reach your stress maximum, if you take enough stress to push you over your stress maximum, roll for Eclipse as you enter it. Right, does the overflow then spill over? I want to say no, it doesn't. Doop doop doop. This is still really ambiguous. And this is kind of like a delicate thing to describe. Because here's the thing, right? Like, I need to account for a couple different situations. Because there's the one where you're not in Eclipse, you take a bunch to go into Eclipse, and then you have extra. And then there's, I'm already in Eclipse, I take a bunch of stress. In both situations, we want to know, where does the stress that has, like, spilled over, right? The stress over 9, where does that go and what happens with it? In both situations, I just want it gone. And then that it puts me in darkness, and then once I succumb, because I want to be able to just like sit at this edge and take like an infinite amount of stress while teetering on the brink, and then eventually I'm going to succumb to darkness or whatever, right? Or I'm going to crit this roll and become a badass. So how do I then explain that clearly as a rules thing here, right? There was also this notion that while in Eclipse you can't resist things. Things just happen to you. But I think that's kind of bullshit, because then you can't really take stress. So let's rework this section so it reflects how it's actually been played thus far. So when you reach your stress maximum, you are in Eclipse. And let's just separate these clauses, right? Because this is like how you roll Eclipse, which is a separate procedural thing. When you reach your stress maximum, you are in Eclipse. Any stress that exceeds your maximum causes you to roll for Eclipse. See below. That's not a document I can copy from. It's a video. Yes. But you can go to the playtest document. You can go to this exact document that I'm editing and copy and paste from it using the same shareable link. Well, here, I'll post a view link in chat so that those of you who are interested in following along at home. So this is the shareable link for the doc. Feel free to go in there and like copy paste the stuff in if you want to like display specific passages. It's also like I'm in the midst of editing it, so this whole section is going to be changing as you look at it. Damn it. All right. I'm glad that it did not dox me. That's kind of it. Okay, cool. So we're in the Eclipse section here. Oh, I'm on view only. Mother, father. Okay, here's my edit link. Okay, cool. I fixed it. Solved the problem. Okay. Any stress that exceeds your maximum causes you to roll for Eclipse. This includes situations in which the character reaches and exceeds their maximum at the same time. any stress taken after once the character is in Eclipse. Feel like this describes the thing appropriately. I'm sure there's probably a better way to say it, but this is at least accurate. Yeah, roll once per any amount of stress that exceeds your maximum causes you to roll for Eclipse once. Or we'll just say causes you to roll for Eclipse. See below. This includes situations below. Anytime you take stress or harm while in Eclipse, roll your lowest resistance. The result is 6, blah, 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 blah. All right, we'll roll with this for now. And move on. So, while you're in darkness, play into your darkness prompt. Instead of accumulating stress, you erase it from your sheet. When your stress reaches 0, your character succumbs completely. I feel like I read through this whole section and was happy with it already. This is redundant. Don't actually need to say it. Obligation. At the start of every downtime, each character must roll obligation. We describe the circumstances of the crew's shared obligations and some difficulties they are facing there. Make a resistance roll with your lowest attribute, taking stress equal to 6 minus the die result. We should just say roll your lowest attribute. Roll your lowest attribute, taking stress equal to 6 minus the die result. On a crit, you get an additional downtime action. For any result, we narrate what this means for the characters. Downtime. During downtime, the characters get to make 2 downtime actions. This might play out as a collection of played-out moments. We might see a montage of all the various activities happening. Certain hideout improvements, crew advances, or special abilities might give them access to more. They can perform the following downtime actions. Let's just move this. They can perform the following downtime actions. Social link action. When taking a social link downtime action, choose another PC. Describe what the two of you do together. If it's something the other character would enjoy, they can offer you an extra die. Roll an appropriate action. The chosen character gains links with you on their sheet. On a crit, you also gain 1 link with them on your sheet. You can only social link with a character up to 2 times per downtime. There we go. It's a little more clear. Help a friend recover. When you help a friend recover, describe how you are supporting their healing process and roll an appropriate action. They advance their recovery clock based on your roll. On a crit, they mark 4 segments. Completing the recovery clock removes all level 1 harm. All other harm is reduced by 1 level. When you investigate the darkness, describe how you are seeking information and roll an appropriate action. See, I want to rename Investigate the Darkness, certainly, because it is a little confusing, because you don't necessarily roll Investigate. But there is that overlap of language. But whatever, we'll leave it for now. Advance the investigation track based on the result, because I can't think of a good other alternate name for it. I might just rename the action Investigate to something else. But again, I've been trying to think of it and just nothing has come to me. So on a crit, advance track by 5 segments, the MC will describe what gave you this particular insight and reveal some further darkness that was previously unknown to you. Ask the MC a couple follow-up questions from your gather information list. Work on a long-term project. When you start a long-term project, describe what you are setting out to accomplish, and the MC will set the size of the project clock. Standard projects are 8 segments. Clocks for longer or more complicated projects might be larger. Especially significant projects might require multiple clocks, dividing them into different phases. When working on a project, roll an appropriate action and mark progress as normal. On a crit, fill 5 segments of the project clock. I'm not changing investigate to scrut. I'm just not. I'm sorry. So, missions are composed of the following stages. Engagement roll, cut to the action, complete your objectives, end of mission, and follow. So, engagement procedure. The engagement roll lets us cut straight to the action, the heart of whatever is interesting about a given mission. This one roll will let us know how things are going and elides all the tedious setup, planning, and leading. There are a number of factors to consider for the engagement roll. I'm happy with my engagement role description. It has been working well. We cut to the action is a heading. It should be bolded as such. Based on the outcome of the engagement role, we already know... Oh, wait. No, yeah, this is good. This is what we want. We cut to the action. Based on the outcome of the engagement role, we already know how the initial and less consequential / interesting stages of the mission have gone. Engagement role outcomes function similarly to any other role. 6. Good result, controlled position. Mixed result, risky position. Bad result, desperate position. And crits. Great. Complete your objectives. The crew came here for a reason, and now is where we work towards whatever goal we set out to accomplish. The fiction should present us with clear obstacles to overcome. It should be equally clear when we have satisfied our goal. When we have achieved our goal, not satisfied. Roll procedure. This all has been fine in my experience. We could do examine or analyze. Yeah, and I think changing the action is the most logical. So this could be examine. Dissect is a little too sinister. My money's on examine or analyze. Analyze. How do you spell analyze? Is it with a Z? Yeah. Analyze has the unfortunate quirk of having the word anal hidden in it, but you know. Analyze. Are they both accurate spellings? Empathize, analyze. Is there like alternate spellings? Right, the British spelling, aka the Canadian spelling. You know we gotta use that British spelling. Alright, we're changing this to analyze. We're doing it. Right, and we have armor with an OU. Yeah, we're all about it. In Canada, this actually is how you spell it, is this way. So that's why I spell it that way. Which means I also need to run up here and change this to analyze. This is one thing I glossed over, but it's mostly just because it's not terribly important. But I have descriptions for all the actions, which I'm not quite done with. So doop doop doop. Can't remember what we were in the middle of anymore. Engagement procedure, role procedure. Effect level, bonus dice. One die can be gained for having the assistance of a teammate. They take 1 stress, they will help you and give you +1 die. You can also gain the bonus die for pushing yourself, which costs 2 stress, or you can accept a dark bargain. Options are mutually exclusive. It's one or the other, never both. Dark bargain, blah blah blah. Group actions help in setup. You can perform group actions. One character can lead the action, all others participating also roll. For each member of the group action that fails, the leader takes 2 stress. Use the best result from among all contributors. Set up another character's action. Perform the action roll that makes sense. Set up your character's action. They take +1 die. Flashbacks. You may find yourself in situations during a mission where you hit some difficulty that you feel your character would have planned or prepared for. It might be that we flash back to some detail of your investigations or see the character packing a needed object. When you describe a flashback, the MC will tell you how much stress it costs. Obvious preparations and simple tasks, 0 stress. Anything that more complicated than that is going to be between 1 and 3 stress at the MC's discretion. Harm procedure. This stuff is all just like taken wholesale from Blades, so I don't feel like I really need to do a lot of review on it. Yep, and this all is accurate. These procedures are all good. Advancement. Cool. This needs to change to analyze. Honestly, I just need to look for every instance of investigate and change it. So when you analyze, search beyond the surface presentation of the world. These are all good. These should be as such. Yes. Excellent. Great. Okay. Cool. Feeling good. Okay, yeah, so we can talk about harm examples. Because I have a bunch that are non-physical, but I can add more. And it's something that would be good to flesh out. Eaten, drowned, lost forever. Impaled, catatonic, crushed. Heartbroken. Heartbroken is level 3, right? Exhausted, panicked, cut up. Mortified. Scared, embarrassed. Confused. There we go. Just a little bit more filled out. What is an emotional trauma that would just, like, kill you? What is fatal emotional trauma? Embarrassed. I'm not spelling it correctly. It has 2 R's. Eaten, drowned, lost forever. Lost forever I view as kind of an emotional trauma. Like abject despair. Or like utter despair. I think level 3 harm would be hopeless. Level 2, which is like, you know, less dice. So what would that kind of look like? We have mortified, panicked, disgraced. Yeah. Very helpful suggestion, whoever suggested that, because, yeah. Yeah, thanks, Zoe Claire. I think that's really good to do. Let's just make our formatting consistent here. Alright, resistance and armor. When your character suffers a consequence that you deem unacceptable, you can choose to resist it. Tell the MC you'd like to resist it and declare nope. Resistance is always automatically effective. The MC will tell you if the consequence is reduced, mitigated entirely. You may then make a resistance roll to see how much stress your character suffers as a result of their resistance. Describe how your character resists this consequence. I love being able to write things like this. If they suffer level 4 harm and do not resist it, they die. You are dead. Game over. Alright. I think that's it for today. That was a good 3 hours of very dry rules editing. So I'm gonna finish up the editing of the playbooks. And get everything kind of polished up. So I'll be doing another update today. Expect to see a link pushed out on Twitter, on my Twitter. For those of you who are playtesting, feel free to grab this and get everything updated. Yeah, Hyena, this is gonna be up tonight. I'm gonna shut down the stream in a second here, and then I'm just gonna keep plodding away at the Photoshop stuff because there's a bunch of changes that I need to kind of extrapolate out. I want to get this ready for Red Troubadour's playtest, which is happening, I guess, like the morning of the 22nd or something. The exact time of it was not clear to me. Let me just double check that because I want to shout them out. So they are at nath_kai on Twitter, and their stream is scheduled for 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. my time. So 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time on July 22nd is when they are streaming, and a couple of cool folks from here and there in the community are involved, like Quantum Dot is emceeing. So I encourage y'all to check that out if you're interested. And I'm gonna have all this ready in time for that. Yeah, it's like about 12 hours from now. You can also watch me playtesting it on Mondays on Distracted Elf's channel with the lovely Sean, aka Hyena Spots, and Gear Cavalier. And I'm trying to organize a few other like streamed playtests with me in them. One of which will be happening during our like Roll20 time periods in August, because Adam's going to be out of town, and so when he's gone, we're going to play a game of Girl by Moonlight one week, a game of Monster Hearts 2nd edition the other week, and then on the third week, Dave's going to run something, and I don't think he's quite settled on what he wants to play. But you'll be able to check that out. I think I'll be the second week with Girl by Moonlight, but it might be the first week. I'm not sure. Await the exact announcements of that. But there will be a few chances to check out some Girl by Moonlight playtest in a streamed format. And it is becoming more consistent as we go forward. So, like, my Monday playtest went through a bunch of bumpy periods where a bunch of shit changed. And then now we're kind of closing in on what things are going to be. So, yeah, and Elf is going to run the Girl by Moonlight playtest on the Roll20 time slot. I may have just misspoken, and if I did, I apologize. Yeah, so she's going to be the MC. I get to play my game, which I'm very excited about, and then it'll be me and Dave and Blue Jay as the PCs. We might bring a special guest in as well. We're trying to look into that stuff. So that's where you can see some Girl by Moonlight. You can follow me on Twitter at Comedian Crow if you don't already. I encourage you to do so. It's a good way to stay updated because that's where I'm kind of centralizing all my shit. And by way of my Twitter profile, you can find my Patreon, my YouTube channel, where all of these VODs are posted. And you're already on my Twitch or my YouTube, one or the other, so good job. Please follow me in those places so you can keep an eye on this stuff. And I encourage you to maybe support me financially so that I can keep doing this as well as all of the shows and stuff that I do. I don't get paid to do any of them, so I am dependent on you all to, make that time something that I can sustain financially. I'm kind of an internet busker, is how I look at it, and I'm just like doing this thing, and you can throw some change in my little guitar case. Same time next week, I guess. You can see me again doing more Girl by Moonlight development. So bye for now.